Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Friday morning lesson. Today's lesson is all about doubles, as in all of the different levels of doubles that we play, and how you can recognize whether a double is, for example, a penalty double, whether a double is a takeout double, whether a double has a specific meaning, such as a negative, or what I like to refer to as responder's double. Negative double seems to be a confusing terminology for a lot of people, which is why I think that the best terminology for a negative double really is responder's double, because in essence, that's the player who makes the bid, therefore it makes sense that it's described as such. But first of all, let's start from the basic bare bones of the original doubles, takeout doubles that we make. Now, I find that a lot of players really struggle when it comes to their initial plans of entering the bidding once an opponent has actually gotten in first. Now, when opponents get in first, you have to make sure that if you don't have have a 5-card suit to bid, that your hand is appropriate for a double. And a lot of players fail in that respect. They often think, well, I've got an opening hand, and what the heck, I'm going to show that hand. I mean, I don't care what that the opponents have opened the bidding in front of me, I'm going to bid. But the truth is that they often fall short in the way that they describe their hand, because the initial double by the overcaller is quite specific in the message that it sends to partner. If your hand is in that lower high card point range of 12 up to about 14, you've got to be a little bit careful when it comes to entering the auction. Meaning that you've got to make sure that when you do double with these hands, the partner understands when you double the opponent's suit that you are short in the opponent's suit, and hence long in the other suits. Now, back in the days of yore, when people had to distinguish between overcalls and doubles, they used to say that you could never overcall with a hand that had opening values. Now, all of that has changed, thank heavens, in modern bridge. So overcalls can have hands with, all the way up to 16 and 17 points for a one-level overcall. But it could be down as low as 7 points as well, as I've mentioned on many occasions. But the point is that means that doubles, and that is when you intend to enter the auction, especially if the opponents have opened the bidding with a double at a low level, if you intend to enter the auction, then you've got to make sure that you don't have a 5-card major that you could have easily bid, because if you have a 5-card major that you could have easily bid, then partner won't normally play you for that 5-card major. And I'm just going to turn off another one of those cameras that's on in the background there at the moment. There we go, just a little bit distracting. Okay, so back to the task at hand. Jill, your camera is on at the moment, and I think I need to tell you because I'm struggling to find it. Everyone, give me a few seconds. It's where I can turn it off in the background, and I can't at the moment because it's not showing. So hopefully Jill will find that. Anyway, I'll go back to my picture. No, can't find it at the moment. Okay. So everyone, back to the task at hand. Okay. Now, we're talking about entering the auction once the opponents have opened at the 1 level, and the choice between whether you should double or overcall when you're holding a 5-card major. Now, hands with a 5-card major rather than double, even with a shortage in the opponent's suit, shouldn't be started with a double. They should be started with an overcall in the major. So let me show you an example of what I mean. And here we go. If the opponents had opened the bidding with perhaps 1 diamond, let's say, and this was your hand. You had ace, jack, 5 times in spades, king to 3, singleton, ace, jack to 4 clubs. Now, your hand fits the purpose of a double in the sense that it has a shortage in the opponent's suit, but you have a 5-card major that you can easily bid at the 1 level on this hand. The great problem with doubling when you've got a 5-card major is that it's very difficult to uncover a 5-3 fit. Yep. So the 5-3 fit is best started or uncovered by starting with an overcall in that suit. So with a hand such as this, I would bid 1 spade. There is a case, however, if, for example, I took that club away and brought it into the heart suit here, with 5-4 in the majors, there is a case to double on this hand. But the truth is that I would still much prefer a 1 spade overcall, even with 5-4 in the majors. If the majors were the other way around, that is, we had 4 spades and we had 5 hearts, now the case gets stronger to double. And why is that? Is because if you bid 1 heart on this hand and partner's next bid is, let's say, 1 no trump, you may miss out on a spade fit. Or would you? Now that's a big question because it came up the other day. What would a spade response from partner be after you overcall 1 heart? So if it goes 1 heart from you, no bid from this player, and partner or the advancer bids 1 spade, how many spades would you expect from partner to hold? Any thoughts? Should it be 5 at least? Could it be 4? Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting lots of choices here. Okay, overwhelmingly, all of the people are mentioning 4, and you're right, it should be 4. It doesn't need to be 5. So the response of 1 spade to a 1 heart overcall, or a 1 diamond overcall for that matter, only needs to have 4 cards. So the case is still strong with the hand that I'm giving you here. The case is still very strong to bid the 5-card heart suit rather than double. On the previous example I gave you, I believe the case is overwhelming to bid 1 spade because you can always rebid 2 hearts at your next turn. But an absolute classic takeout double would be a hand such as this. 4 cards in all of the unbid suits, and therefore partner, you're happy for partner to bid any one of those suits. And that's the message that you're sending to partner. Doubles aren't always major oriented. That used to be a thought process that whenever you double, you're saying, I've always got 4 cards in the other major. So what I mean by that is, if the opponents were actually opening, for an example, one of a major, change the suits there. If the opponents had opened 1 heart, then this, of course, would be a classic takeout double. And yes, it would show 4 cards in the other major. But if my choice was between, if I had 1 less spade there, and let's say 1 more diamond, if my choices here were between doubling and bidding 2 diamonds, then I would much prefer the double. Why? Because when you overcall at the 2 level, you tend to commit to that suit more often than not. When you overcall at the 1 level, the suit quality doesn't need to be as strong. So on this particular hand, I would much prefer to double because by doubling, I bring all 3 suits into the auction. By overcalling 2 diamonds, I tend to commit to 1 suit. And what worries me about this 1 suit here is that the quality of the suit is really not that strong. Again, there's a case that if the quality of the suit had changed and the spade honors had changed, if we were now up to something like this, king to 3 and ace, queen, jack to 5, not 6, to 5 cards, then there is a case perhaps to bid 2 diamonds rather than double. But again, when I've got a shortage in the opponent's suit and 3 suits to offer, they may not all be 4-card suits, then I believe that it's better to give partner the wider range of things. Okay, a few questions here. Claire said, some people argue for doubling with, say, 9+ points with shortage in the opponent's suit. Do you mean the initial double, Claire? 9+ points. 9 seems a little low to me. I mean, I can argue for, a very, a good 11 or a perfect 10 where a perfect 10. Oh, sorry, I was thinking of another meaning for a perfect 10. But a perfect 10 in the sense that all of your honors are sharp and in the other suits and you've got good intermediate cards. But 9+ points to double at the 1 level, I think that's very risky, extremely risky. Dinah's asked, if partner bids 1 spade, what then? Oh, you mean with the other hand from before or this hand here? So as Dinah's just asked, sorry, I'm having trouble with my eraser here. Okay, there we go. As Diana's just asked, what if we doubled on this hand? The next player said no bid and partner bid 1 spade. Well, the theory is that with a minimum hand, partner's promised minimum values, you should pass. In fact, I'll actually say that when you do double on about 90% of hands that you pick up, once you double, you'll never take another call, because you need to have extra values to take another call. And unless partner actually invites you to game, and partner more often than not won't invite you to game. So of course the jump implies some sort of invitation from partner. So if partner's bid was 2 spades here, rather than 1 spade, then of course, we're dealing with a different kettle of fish here. Now we've got a hand that's good enough to go to game. On this particular hand, after doubling, let's say partner bid 2 spades, I might bid 3 diamonds because now we're in a game forcing auction. And if partner's got a 5-card spade suit, they might repeat it. They might bid 3 spades. Now I've got an easy raise to 4 spades. But with a minimum hand, and partner makes a minimum bid, then I'm not at all worried about passing partner's bid. So if partner had bid 1 spade here, I would simply, after doubling the first time, pass the next time. I wouldn't come into the auction. If the opponents decide to balance, then perhaps we can bid again. I might double. But again, the risk you take if you double and then you bid again is that partner would and should expect you to have extra values. A few more questions. So Kathy's asking, what about over 1 club, which may be a short club? Oh, Kathy, you are preaching something that I love, and it's very true. Doubles over 1 club, I believe that, as Kathy's suggesting, a lot of people play a 2-card club opening. And this is something that I've found a lot more at the high levels of bridge. If you do move away from the idea that you have to have a shortage when you double 1 club, meaning, for example, let's say your hand doesn't hold a shortage in clubs, and let's say the opponents open a club. They open 1 club and my hand is something like this: King, Jack to 4, King, Queen, let's say to 3, Ace, Doubleton, and 4 small. Now, should I be doubling on that hand? Well, I've got an opening bid, and the point is that often the opponents don't have anything when they open 1 club, meaning they don't have anything in clubs. So there is a case over only the 1 club bid that double should show any type of balanced-ish or hand better than that. How many points would you need to super accept? You mean to make a jump, Tina? I think that partner's jump bid by the responder of let's say, a 2 spade bid here, so that's when the intervening player has passed and partner jumps to 2 spades. I think a good range is about 9 to 11 on those hands. When I first started playing this, we'd say 8, but you know what cocky professional bridge players are like. They always think that they can make more tricks with less points. So I think it's a good idea to play the jumpers about 9 to 11, around about that range. And in fact, whilst you're on that subject, what would a bit of 3 spades be here? A double jump is not point related. A double jump simply shows a hand with some sort of competitive point range, maybe, 5 to 8 points, and probably 6 cards in that suit. So it's all about, the double jump is all about stressing the length. Back to Kathy's question, and I think it's really important, is that you could possibly double one club with an off shape hand, but don't do it over one diamond, one heart, or one spade. I've actually just written out a system for Ron and I to play based on exactly Kathy's idea there, that you could double one club with without a shortage in clubs. And I can tell you that our system notes, by the time Ron and I finished just with that one bid, our system notes went for an entire page. So don't treat it lightly. I think it's quite important. I'm going to go back to a lot of questions here. There's a lot of questions. I knew there would be in the doubles. Okay, Jones asked, what happens if your partner puts in a double that you can't respond? Well, you have to bid, Joan. That double is a forcing bid. Let's move on. Okay, Debbie's asked, what points do you want your partner to have to go 2 spades? Perfect. That's the same question that Tina asked. So the jump is about 9 to 11. Sue's asked, can you use a Q bid as a responder? Yes, and that'll come up in the lesson actually, Sue. It's important to have a what we call an unassuming Q bid as the responder, and that bid is either forcing to game or at least invitational. Ingy's asking, what about 2 clubs? Do you mean a 2 club opening, Ingy? Just please define that. Jane's asking, what if partner bids diamonds when we've got this hand? Therein lies the problem, Jane, you see. So this is why you can imagine when Ron and I finish with the notes here, they've already extended to a page and more. I always thought you had to have 5 cards to take your partner out of the overcall. No, not at the 1 level. Yep. Ingy's defined her question. 2 clubs, not the Q bid. So a 1 club opening or a 1 heart opening. You mean, so what Ingy's suggesting is that if the bidding went 1 club double, no bid, and this hand, I think, bid 2 clubs, would that be natural? Well, it wouldn't be natural, because if you had a natural hand with clubs, you'd probably pass out 1 club doubled. So you would utilize, I think that's the question you meant, you'd utilize that as Sue's suggesting, as a Q bid. And we'll get onto that in a minute, because that's actually a very important area of the game. But first of all, let's rub out all of this. I've got a new eraser. I didn't choose it deliberately. I chose it accidentally. But anyway, let's move on. So, with length in your opponent's suit, what happens? Can we do questions after you've gone through? Yes, that'd be a good idea. I think this afternoon, because we've just got the duplicate this afternoon, how about we open up the microphones at the end and have a long conversation about doubles, because it's warranted. Let's move on though, with length in your opponent's suit. So if you pick up those hands with 12 to 14 points and the opponents open a diamond or a heart or a spade, then if your hand is balanced and you've got length in their suit, then with the 12 to 14 high card point range, you should probably be passing. I like to refer to that as a trap pass, because you know what the opponents have, but when you pass, they don't know what you have. And the truth is that once you've got length in the suit that they have length, it should be a big warning sign. And that big warning sign is that once you've both got length in the same suit, that means that your partnerships are probably going to have misfits. So passing and allowing the opponents to play is normally a good avenue to success. And it happens quite a lot on that hands with 12 to 14. When you pick up the similar hand with 15 to 17 points, so as I'm writing here, so let's say the opponents, however, this time have opened with a heart, and you've got this, king, queen to 4, king, jack to 4, let's say, ace another, and what's that? We've got up to 9, 13, and king to 3. Now this hand, you would simply overcall 1 no trump. And why? Because you've got enough points to get involved in the auction and believe that there's a chance that your partnership owns the hand. And if, for example, like I was suggesting, that ace of diamonds is two small diamonds, then this is the hand that you have to grit your teeth and pass. Even a couple more points, 14 points, just pass. And I can tell you in the long run, you'll come out ahead. So I've got a number of examples of those to show you. First of all, though, just before we talk about these example hands here, I'll get my little pointer on. I think that's one thing. If I ever give up webinars, I'm going to miss my little red pointer. I think I'll buy one and walk around the bridge club with it. Okay, so if you've got 18 plus points, then your hand is simply too good, or 19 plus points. It's too good not to get involved, whether you're off shape or not. So all of those hands should commence first with a double. So you always look at doubles in the 3 different point ranges as the overcaller: 12 to 14, 15 to 17 or 18, you know, so that murky range there where you overcall a no trump, or all of the hands with 18 or 19 plus. They're the ones that you just say, well, I have to bid here. I have to double because my hand's simply too good. Okay, let's have a look at these examples I've given you. So the opponents open a heart. You've got a classic 13 points. You've got a shortage, and what defines a shortage? Between 0 and 2 cards. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago on the Monday morning challenge, I doubled with a 4-3-3 shape? You might recall this hand. I doubled with 4-3-3. I ummed and ahed, and finally I doubled because a lot of people thought that I should get in there. I had 13 points. Well, when I doubled, what happened? The opponents took advantage, they redoubled, and because I lacked the shape, I couldn't make any contract, and I was eventually doubled and went down. Marcel's asking, if you have 18 points in a 5-card major, would you double? Yes, absolutely. So what do you show when you double and then change the suit? Well, a good ground rule to use is this. If you double, you're asking partner to choose something. If they make a non-jump bid, they could have 0 points. If you then change the suit or go back to no trumps, your hand is big. It's as simple as that. 18 plus, and if it's a suit bid, you've got at least 5 cards in that suit. You don't need to have 6. It's simply showing 5 or more. Okay, so that's our hand number 1. You've got a classic, to me, almost classic takeout double here, where you double, promises shortage, 12 plus points, and if partner bids clubs, diamonds, or spades at the lowest level, you would pass. Even if they invited you to game with this hand, you would still pass. Look at hand 2. Well, this is the hand with 13 points, but you've got 4 cards in the opponent's suit. You have to be disciplined with these hands. Just pass. Yeah? I mean, if you double with this hand, Murphy's Law will tell you partner will bid what? They will nearly always bid clubs. So if that happens, how would you feel? You'd feel poor. Therefore, don't encourage the situation by doubling. Leah says, not many points left in partner's hand on either team. Leah, have you noticed what hands people are opening the bidding on these days? if people open the bidding on some absolute rubbish these days, so don't think when the opponents open the bidding that you can't actually make game. Example 1, Gwyn's asking. Example, you mean what if the opponents redoubled? I think is what Gwyn means. So if you double and the opponents redouble, then hopefully we just try to run out to as low a contract as possible. Redoubles tend to show 10 plus points. Tony's asking later in power double. I've got too many cards on one of the hands later, everyone, I think. So I'll have to change that in the examples at the end. So back to number 3. On hand number 3 here, where you do have the needed shortage, but you do have a 5-card suit. However, the 5-card suit is a minor versus a major. And as we suggested before, it's the 5-card major that you should aim to overcall. But when your hand has a 3-suitor like this, I would much prefer that you double, because double will bring the 4-card spade suit into the auction. So hand 3, you should choose to double. Hand number 4, well, you've got 17 points here. It's not a perfect hand. It's not balanced, etc. But I'm not prepared to pass on this hand. I'm going to actually get a bit creative on hand number 4 and suggest that you bid 1 no trump. Yep. And just imagine that that king of clubs is really a doubleton, because singleton kings are almost like doubletons, in my mind anyhow. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at some of the other suggested usages for double. It's something that they call the negative double, which you may have heard of. A lot of people are confused by it. I like to call it the responder's double, because if it's the responder's double, then people know that it's an action taken by the responder, that is the partner of the opening bidder, and it happens once the opponents intervene. What happens often is that when the opponents intervene, they steal your space. And you still want to be able to say, partner, I've got some sort of hand over here that wants to get involved. So if you double as the responder, especially if the opponents have overcalled with 1 spade, then that double would say, partner, I've got at least 4 cards in the heart suit. Well, why the heart suit? Well, look at this auction here. That 1 suit was a minor from partner, and the opponents have bid a major. If you wait for the double to always show both of the unbid suits, then you will find that you won't double quite enough. But if you've got 4 cards in an unbid major, then that normally is a very good time to be using negative doubles. So on example 1 here, or number 1, the double here says, partner, I've got 6 or more points, 4 or more hearts. So no upper limit in points and no upper limit in the number of hearts. However, the one thing you won't have is you won't have 5 or more hearts and 10 or more points, because then you would have bid 2 hearts. So this double here essentially says, partner, I would have responded 1 heart. Please, would you bid accordingly? So if the 2 suits that are bid are both minor suits, then the double should show both of the major suits. Why? Because they're both of equal importance. If both of the suits that were bid were major suits, such as 1 heart, 1 spade, then the double here should show both minor suits, because they are of equal importance. The only time the double shows the unbid major is if the 2 suits that have not been bid is 1 major and 1 minor. Then the double always promises the minor. Tina's asked a question. Bid 1 no trump with 17 points, though it would show about 10 on hand 4. So going back to problem 4. Oh no, Tina, what happened is the opponents opened the bidding, not your partner. So I think you might have gotten confused with that. So if the 2 unbid suits are 1 major, 1 minor, double promises the other major. Let's have a look at the negative double exercises here, everyone. Partner opens a club, your opponent's bid a spade, and this is your hand as the responder. Well, you can't double, because double would promise 4 or more hearts, because there's an unbid major and an unbid minor, and the double always says I've got 4 or more cards in the most important unbid suit, which in this instance would be hearts. You can't do that. So the double won't show diamonds. Therefore, your best option on this hand is probably to bid 1 no trump. 2 diamonds would still show 10 plus points. Now, hand number 2, this is the one people get a bit confused with. What would you have responded on hand 2 had your opponent not overcalled 1 spade? Well, you would have bid 1 heart. Therefore, you can always make a negative double even with a 6-card suit. Your intention here is to double to show 6 or more points, 4 or more hearts, and then when partner bids again, whatever they bid, you will then go back to your heart suit. What does that auction promise? I'll just show you here. That auction would promise, what a partner opened a club, they bid a spade, You double. If it goes no bid. If partner's next bid was, let's say, 2 diamonds or 1 no trump or something like that, if you bid 2 hearts here, that shows a weak hand with hearts. How would you remember that? Well, essentially, the double said, I would have bid 1 heart. So it's like bidding 1 heart, 2 hearts. What does it promise? 6 cards and a 6-card suit. 6 cards in hearts and about 6 to 9 points. Everyone, I knew that you knew what I was thinking then. Okay, let's move on. And let's have a look at example 3 here, or exercise 3. Partner opens a club, they bid 1 spade, and now you've got a choice. You've got 8 points here. You could bid 1 no trump, you've got spade stopped. But if your choice is between bidding their suit, bidding no trumps to show a cover in their suit, and showing 4 cards in the other major, you should always show 4 cards in the other major, because that's far more important. So on this hand, I would choose to double. Hand number 4. Now, you've got a lot of points here, plenty for game, plenty to make a forcing change of suit. But the great problem we have here is that if we start to bid hearts, or we even bid 2 diamonds would only show 4 or more diamonds. But the problem is 2 hearts would show 5 or more hearts. Anytime, and mark this everyone, mark this down, anytime as the responder, you freely bid 2 of, or you shift 2 of a new major, you will always promise 10 plus points and 5 plus cards in the major. So even if the overcall was 2 clubs from the opponents, 1 diamond, 2 clubs, if you bid 2 spades, that would promise at least 5 cards. So in this instance, how do you want to describe your hand? 2 diamonds doesn't quite describe it, because we want to get the hearts into the action. So we double. Yep. And that will show partner you've got 4 or more hearts. Partner will tell you whether they've got a heart fit or not. After that, you can then choose which game to bid. Okay, what do you do with a penalty double in the opponent's suit? So with a penalty double in the opponent's suit, it's akin to the original trap pass that we discussed. If you trap pass with length in the opponent's suit, then the opponents don't know that you have length in their suit. Well, these 2 subjects must go hand in hand. For example, if you pick up this type of hand, partner's opened a heart, the opponent's bid 2 clubs, and you've got this. You've got 3 small spades, a singleton heart, ace to 3 diamonds, and king, queen, 10 to 5 clubs. Well, you'd love to double the opponents for penalties and 2 clubs, but you can't do that by making a double yourself. Why? Because double here would show 4 spades. So what must you do? And try to think this way and try to keep it consistent throughout your bidding. With length in the opponent's suit, we tend to do what? We tend to pass. So that's what you do. You say no bid on this hand. But then this becomes a true partnership test. And that's why the next subject here, opener's double, deals with this exact situation. Meaning that when there are 2 passes after the opponents have bid, so bid, bid, pass, pass, if partner passes, then they would be passing the auction out. So if they were to bid here, they would be reopening the auction. And one of their choices to reopen the auction is to double. So the double here by the opener on their second bid should never promise any extra points. It simply says to partner, partner, I'm short in the opponent's suit, and then you can bid according to my shortness. So if partner does double, and this hand says no bid, what would you do on this hand? Well, first of all, you'd lean across the table and kiss your partner, and then you would say no bid. And the opponents would be playing 2 clubs double. And that's how you catch opponents. Can I tell you, when you do catch the opponents in these auctions for overcalling on poor hands, then what tends to happen is that once they get clipped for 800 and 1100, then they tend to stop overcalling on poor hands. And that, whenever the opponents don't overcall, it tends to make your life much easier. Jane's got a question. If they overcall hearts and you have 4 spades. Okay, that's up to individuals. Some people play the double of a 1 heart overcall as denying 4 spades. Some people play the double of the 1 heart overcall as showing 4 spades. So there's several ways to play it. You could play the double as saying, I've got 4 cards and spades exactly, and the 1 spade bit is saying I've got 5. I personally play that the double denies 4 spades, but that's up to the individual. You can play whichever, and both methods work just fine, just fine. Okay, so let's move on because we've got a bunch of hands to show you. And there's one last subject I think we'd like to look at, but just before we do the power double, let's have a look at these example hands. You open 1 heart, your opponent overcalls 2 clubs, and partner and the next player say no bid. That means that you would be in the reopening or pass out seat. Well, a double here is a classic for you. This hand says, partner, I'm short in the opponent's suit. You do whatever is appropriate. Now remember, if both partner and the opponents have passed, now it looks like the cards are probably reasonably well divided amongst the table. So partner can't necessarily expect you to have extra values for your double. But what your double here will do is it will be twofold. One of them, it can protect partner's potential penalty pass or penalty double that they would love to have made and they did make in their own mind, but they couldn't make because the double would have been a negative or responder's double. So on this hand, you double and partner can pass for penalties. If partner doesn't have a penalty pass, they know now that you've got the other 3 suits and they can happily choose whatever length they have in the other suits. Let's look at hand 2. This one people struggle with. They always believe when the bidding comes back to them and they have a 6-card suit that they should rebid their 6-card suit. That's okay, but not when you're short in the opponent's suit. Why? Because when the bidding goes pass after a 2-level overcall from the opponent, the chances have risen dramatically that partner has a penalty double of the opponent's suit. And you must endeavor to protect partner on hands like this by doing what? By reopening with a double. No minimum hand, nothing extra expected. On this hand, you've got 13 points. They bid 2 clubs, the bidding passes around to you. Pass. Why? Because you have length in the opponent's suit. Everyone, you can see a consistency between the hands here. When you have shortage in the opponent's suits, you double. When you have length, that's when you pass. Here, you've got extreme length in 2 suits. Now, there's every reason here on this hand to be showing both of your suits. So despite the shortage here, I've got at least 6-5 in my 2 suits. Therefore, I'm going to bid my 2 suits rather than double and play the risk that partner is going to pass for penalties. So on this hand, I would bid both of my suits. Okay, everyone. Last little thing on special doubles, the power double here. Now, the power double, how does that occur? Well, here's a hand that you pick up. It's a good hand. It's got 16 points. You open a club and partner bids a spade, but the pesky opponents intervene with 2 diamonds. And now you could bid 3 clubs, but your 3 club bid wouldn't necessarily carry the same meaning as a jump to 3 clubs. The jump would show 16 plus points. So next time you pick up the same hand and you don't have the king of diamonds, that's 13 points. Wouldn't you love to just compete with bidding 3 clubs? So the way a power double works is this. If both of your partnership has bid and the opponents intervene, any bid from you at a low level is simply competitive. When you have 16 plus points, then you should be doubling first. Now, I'm talking about the difference between a non-jump bid. If you jump in spades here, of course, you show 16 points. Yes, but a bid of 3 clubs here, yeah, would be simply competitive, showing long clubs and less than 16 points. It's a very good double to learn, that one, everyone, the power double. Very important, especially as Tony suggested, when you've got 14 cards in the hand here. It's very useful when those hands come up. Balancing double. Okay, everyone, balancing double, that's the one where you intervene in an auction when the opponents are about to pass something out at the 2 level. If they're about to pass something out at the 2 level and the bidding goes pass to you, it's like a reopening double, similar name, except this time it doesn't have to promise the world's fair here. It's simply saying to partner, I don't want them to play at the 2 level. I'm doubling in order to get us to intervene and to play the hand, rather than allow the opponents to just get away with a 2 diamond bid. Okay, now I've got a bunch of hands I'd love to show you, everyone. So I'm just going to pop a new share on here. Stop that share, pop a new share. And all of our hands are ready to go. So here we are. West, partner opens a diamond. North overcalls 1 spade. Well, you would have responded 1 heart to partner's 1 diamond opening. Now that they've overcalled 1 spade, I suppose you could bid 1 no trump. But my choice would go for showing the 4-card heart suit. How do I do that? I do that via a negative double or responder's double, which promises 4 or more hearts, 6 or more points. And that's what I do. Well, partner then, bless their soul, bids 2 hearts, yeah, which simply shows a minimum hand with 4 cards and hearts. Don't think that this is a reverse. It's not a reverse. The way that you imagine this bid is you imagine that partners responded 1 heart, 1 diamond, 1 heart, 2 hearts would be just a simple raise. So this is not a reverse by the opener because that double is akin to responding 1 heart. Okay, well, we've landed in 2 hearts. We don't need to bid any higher with this hand. And the opponents have led the king of spades. So I gave a lesson yesterday, everyone, another lesson in the afternoon, all about declare a play technique. And that was for a special group that requested these lessons. And it was interesting to note that whenever you look at a hand as a declarer, and we've been going through this a number of times with our group here on the webinars, that you always have to decide whether you should draw trumps or not early. Well, sometimes you have to combine your chances. And what you do is you look at the side suits. If there's any suits with 8 or more cards and good honors, then you endeavor to draw trumps early. If they don't have those suits, and I don't think we have any great side suits here, although the diamonds are quite attractive. So we might be able to utilize dummies trumps for something other than drawing trumps. So my aim is to win the ace of spades here and immediately lead a diamond towards the king queen. So that's what we do. Diamond towards the king queen, and it wins. Excellent. So that means there's a big chance that the ace of diamonds is in the south hand. Everyone, the reason I play a diamond to the king here and not the queen is because it's very difficult for North to duck the king. They might duck a queen with the ace, but even then it's possibly unlikely, but they'll virtually never duck a king in the closed hand. Why? Because they're scared that that's just the king on its own. So we're pretty sure the ace of diamonds is with south. So I think now we can start to combine drawing trumps with playing the diamond suit. So I'm going to lead through the 1 spade bidder towards the king of hearts. And that holds. Well, that's good. That means the ace of hearts is with North, and North is the hand with the long cards and spades. So just bear that in mind. They have the long spades because the next heart play is going to be interesting, but it's not going to be yet. What am I going to do, everyone? Play another diamond. South hops up with the ace. Perfect. Your queen's high now. And you've got probable length in diamonds that's going to become tricks. The opponents continue with a club, which you win. And now I think we can afford probably to play a low heart. If we play a low heart here, there's every chance that that ace of hearts in the north hand might just fall because north is known to hold long spades and therefore they're going to be short in another suit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a low heart and the ace drops. Perfect. Now north takes the king, queen of spades. And the 10 of spades is giving north a headache now because if they play the jack, the 10 will become high. So they continue with a club. It's easy now. Win the ace. There's one trump out, so we'll draw it. We'll take play a diamond and trump it in dummy. We might as well. And now we simply come back to hand with a club ruff. And our queen of diamonds and 5 of diamonds become winners. And if you look at the hand closely, have a look at the notes, everyone, you'll find that 2 hearts making 10 tricks is far better than playing 1 no trump and making about 8 tricks on the hand. Let's have a look at hand number 2. Hand number 2 here. So this is the hand, everyone, where you open the bidding with 1 spade. The opponent, or that is South, overcalls 2 diamonds, which is a reasonable 2 diamond bid, opening hand. And I'm not talking about one of those rubbish 2 diamond bids that we find people make all of the time at the table, but this is a decent bid. The suit quality is okay. It's close to being perfect. If you had the 10 of diamonds, it would be absolutely fine. But sometimes overcalls at the 2 level can come with some element of risk. Well, on this occasion, when the bidding went 2 diamonds, pass, pass, everyone, I've found as a playing over the years that when the bidding does go, one of a suit and I overcall 2 something, and the bidding continues pass, pass, my heart often jumps into my throat because I think that this person's got a lot of cards in my suit. And sure enough, East on this hand, rather than bid 2 hearts, simply says double. Why? Because double's flexible, and double will include the possibility that partner might have length in the opponent's diamond suit and wishes to penalize them. Well, South passes, and what does West do here? West does an easy pass. Yep, 9 points, wonderful diamonds, 2 diamonds double, looks like it's going for an absolute row. So let's have a look. How does 2 diamonds double go? Let's look at this from the perspective of, we'll make the opening lead, and then we'll look at it from the perspective of the defense. 4 of spades, 2 of spades, 10 of spades, lowest of touching honors. Declarer wins the ace. Declarer plays a heart to the king, and you take the ace. Now let's take a couple of spade winners because I'm sure we've got them. Partners 4 look like a singleton, and lo and behold, it is a singleton. And now Declarer's got another spade, so we're going to take that. Now, if we play the jack of spades now, partner will, after over-trumping Declarer, partner will be stuck on lead. And the problem is that if partner doesn't hold the ace-king of clubs or just the king of clubs, then, well, Eleanor, partner was obliged to answer the double, but their answer of the double was to pass. And wouldn't you pass with king, jack, 10, 5 times in the opponent's suit? That's the way that you catch the opponents, especially in a very poor overcall. So in this instance here, partners discarded their hearts. I think I'm going to take this opportunity to lead the queen of clubs through Declarer. So that's what we'll do. Queen of clubs, and that holds. Excellent. I think another club is good here. Partner wins the ace, takes the winning 10 of clubs, and then goes to work on Declarer. Well, Declarer trumps in now. What are you going to do, Declarer? Look at the two hands here. Look at the opponent's hand sitting over the top of you. This is ugly. So now we play the two of diamonds and we duck it around to West. West plays the king of diamonds back to my ace. But when I try the queen of diamonds, West has the jack and the 10 left. So we've two diamonds double took 4 tricks, everyone. 4 tricks. That's minus 1100. Nice score to be having in your plus column, not in your minus column. So let's have a look at this hand, everyone. And this is an interesting hand once the opponents open at the 1 level. So they open at the 1 level, promising probably 3 or 4 diamonds. And here is your hand. These are the hands that players struggle with. They often say double. And when they double with these hands, what ends up happening is that you give the opponents a second bid if they have it, or B, you get your partnership into the wrong contract, which is probably going to be the heart suit. So if you double and partner bids 1 heart, you can't bid 1 no trump because that would promise 18 or 19 points. So don't fall into that trap. It's a much better idea with the 12 to 14 points and length in the opponent's suit to make a trap pass. So that's what we do. We make a trap pass. And that finishes the auction. So the south hand doesn't have enough points to respond. Now, that means that the north-south didn't get 2 bites at the cherry. North is now declarer in 1 diamond. What would you lead? I think king of spades looks obvious, so that's what we do. We lead the king of spades. Let's look at declarer's 2 hands. Wouldn't you have loved, declarer, wouldn't you have loved these to have doubled? Because then you would have come back and bid no trumps yourself. And playing no trumps on this hand looks much better than playing 1 diamond. I mean, what could south have done over 1 diamond? If they bid 1 spade, you'll end up in 3 no trump. Yep. So south had no choice but to pass, and that's what they did. So king of spades lead. Declarer wins the ace. Not sure what to do next. I think perhaps knock out the ace of clubs. Opponents duck. And then they take the queen of clubs next. And then they continue with a spade. West trumps in. And then West plays the 6 of spades requested partner play the higher of the other 2 suits. The trap pass means that whenever you've got 12 to 14 points especially, Kerry, and the opponents have opened the bidding and you've got at least 4 cards in their suit, rather than bid, because you don't have another 5-card suit to bid, rather than double, you should be passing. So now what would you do with partner's hand now after the 2 of hearts gets played back to the ace? A good play now might be to play the last spade and see if partner can trump with a high diamond and be able to promote some diamonds in your hand. So that's what you do. You play the last spade. Partner, bless their soul, plays the queen of diamonds. And declarer now is absolutely cooked. Declarer is going to lose now 3 diamond tricks to your jack or king, or 4 diamond tricks, pardon me, to your king, jack, 9, 8. And there's really nothing that declarer can do. You simply draw all the trumps out. And declarer takes the last 2 tricks. And not a terribly good score, because declarer has only taken 5 tricks, vulnerable, minus 200. But in no trumps, north-south would have probably taken 7 or even 8 tricks. Well, maybe not 8, but 7 tricks anyhow. And so passing was a good plan, and it meant that the opponents played at the 1 level in a poor fit. Here, this is one of the classic hands with the special subject of power doubles. You open this hand with a club. Your partner responds 1 spade, and that means that both of your players have bid. North intervenes with 2 diamonds. You don't really want to pass out 2 diamonds. But you also don't want to make partner think that you've got 16 points. So what do you do on this hand? You compete with 3 clubs, and that says to partner, partner, I'm less than 16 points, but I've got a whole lot of clubs here. If I had 16 points, I would have doubled, and that double would have sent the message, I'm strong over here, partner. Don't let them push us around. The 3 club bid here simply says, I'm competitive, but I'm less than 16 high card points. And partner over here will now, with their 10 points, they'll go, well, that's good. I know you're not good for your bid, so I'll simply let you play in 3 clubs, partner. And if you had the north hand, you wouldn't fall, hopefully, into the trap of bidding twice, vulnerable, at the 3 level, just because you've got a good suit. Yep. So 3 diamonds, as you'll find out, will have gone very poorly vulnerable. So now we're in 3 clubs, and the opponent's lead, a low diamond. North plays the queen of diamonds, and understandably cashes the ace. Now, it looks like it's not a bad idea to try to get the clubs out, but try not to also hope that you'll get stranded with this 4th round of hearts. They lead a heart, why not take a finesse? East-West plays a diamond. Well, you have to trump here, everyone, because you've got all the top trumps anyhow, the 9s in dummy, and South won't be able to over-trump you, but that's going to be your plan. You trump in, you play a heart across to the ace, and then you can afford to play another trump, and if they break 2-2, you're home and hosed. If they were 3-1 at this point in time, you would lead the 9 of hearts, trump with dummy's last club, and then you can come back to the ace of spades and draw the trump. So that's what you do here, even though trumps have all gone. And we see we play in a sensible 3 club contract. 3 no trump would have done poorly. That would have gone down. And partner was able to know that you were simply doing nothing but competing. Okay, everyone, I'm going to open up the microphones now, turn off our record button, hear a lot of questions, and might even answer some about BBO for this afternoon as well. So thank you, everyone. Hope you had a good time. Sorry about the delayed start.